David Cleandon.
I thought you must be speaking next, Andrew.
Mr Speaker, the first line of the explanatory note of this bill spells out essentially the motivation for it, I think. It says simply that criminal offending by adults often exposes minors to serious harm. And undoubtedly it does. To those of us who are parents or even have the care of other people's children, it's inexplicable in a sense that people would willingly expose children, often to quite serious harm, but sadly that is the reality, and it is something that this bill seeks to address. And the Greens are happy to support the progress of this bill. So if it's appropriate. The bill goes on to mention too that criminal offending by adults does cause harm to children who deserve protection from adult offending that puts them at risk. It's opportune, or perhaps it's certainly appropriate, that we're debating this bill on its first reading in this week, which of course is Children of Prisoners Week. And I was very happy yesterday to host a brief celebration, a launch of that week, and of a display from Pillars, ka pou whakahau, and I do acknowledge my parliamentary colleagues from across the House who cooperated and enabled that brief launch, that celebration, to occur in the parliamentary precinct. And I would just like also, if I may diverge slightly, to mention and acknowledge Verna McFellin, the founder and current director of Pillars, who 25 years have worked doing her very level best to protect the well-being of children of prisoners, was recognised a couple of days ago with an award from Corrections. 25 years is an extremely long time to be committed, devoted to a very tough call around protecting children from the consequences of adult offending. So, sir, with those comments, I'd just talk more specifically to the bill. In a sense, we see this as a belts and braces bill. We believe clearly the intention is that having children exposed to criminal offending should be treated as an aggravating factor at sentencing, and the specifics talking about P-labs and the like. We note that in 2005, Justice Winkelman, in sentencing an offender who was involved with the manufacture of methamphetamine, said this, and I quote, that it is a considerable aggravating factor that one of these operations was in the garage at the property where you lived with your children. And went on to say to the offender, you exposed your children to toxic chemicals in a dangerous environment. So in a sense, we've got some confidence that judges at sentencing already would treat the presence of children as an aggravating factor, but clearly this bill, in a sense, would make it perhaps easier for judges to make that call, and more likely that indeed they would consider that an aggravating factor. So certainly it does no harm, it may do good. It's kind of a belts and braces approach, and there's no harm in that. It is a very short bill, none the worse for that. It's very clear in its purpose. We respect that purpose to protect children from the very poor judgment, clearly, of adult offenders who may put those kids at risk. We compliment our colleague who are bringing this bill to the House. We'll be pleased to support it. Kia ora.
I call the honourable member Sue Moroney.